Hello everybody, welcome to the Football Daily Weekly. Good to have you with us. It's good to have Akeem from Cheeky Sport with us.
Great chance.
It's good to be here as well, guys.
Damn right, and Laurence, our regular, is back and better than ever.
In a way.
Which is why we've got you on the left, cutting in.
Yeah.
Yes.
And me in the middle.
Yeah, feel honoured, mate. The Laurence very rarely gives his seat up for anybody.
Yeah. Just because I got it first.
Is that right?
That's what Steven Gerrard said about Liverpool's midfield.
Hey,
Hey!
very good, very good. Let us begin with this. Manchester United are struggling. They are struggling. They lost to Swansea on the weekend. 2-1, Laurence, 2-1. Would you say they're struggling? I think they are. That's why I went with that headline.
Yeah, no, it's a good headline. They've struggled to score goals, and at times it was weird as to why they hadn't conceded more. Because their backline was at times really makeshift. Daley Blind playing at centre-back is a strange one. He's a very adaptable player, but that doesn't mean he's made to be there. And then you'd also say up front, in terms of where their goals are coming from, they'd had an own goal at the beginning of the season that got them all the win. And I think there are a couple of teams who are struggling to work out how to score goals in the Premier League.
I think the problem with Manchester United is it starts with Van Gaal. I think at the moment it looks like he's going down the same path Scolari did, when he was at Chelsea, and he's completely ruined his reputation with a lot of strange decisions. I think the pure mathematics of the situation of attackers that have left in the last 12 to 18 months compared to the amount that have come in makes absolutely no sense. Makes absolutely no sense currently. I know there's speculation constantly going on throughout the season and in the transfer window about who will sign and who won't. I just think it's a mess. I think the gap if Rooney doesn't play is Wilson playing, who's now not got a number 49 shirt, he's now got like a number 20 something shirt. So I think that makes him more important to the team suddenly. But at the moment, it just doesn't look like they have any idea about when players are coming in and what positions they're going to be playing in. It's almost like they're slotted in where they can, and that's why that's why United simply have so many midfielders, and it's so lopsided to the amount of tackles.
It doesn't seem to know his best team.
Ab Workman blames his tools, and I don't think Van Gaal's blamed his tools at all in this one. I think he's working with the resources that he's got. I'm really appreciative of a lot of the Manchester United fans at the moment that you see on other channels being critical of the club, and not just Van Gaal. I think that he has to take some of the blame, but I do think at the same time, Ed Woodward is somewhat to blame, if you want to put blame anywhere. He's implicated in the way that United is run right now. I also think that there are issues with the way that they treat Wayne on and off the pitch, probably. And then there's also bigger issues in that United fans, some are very introspective and will be critical of the club. Not just the owners, not just Van Gaal. They need to be critical of the way the overall system is feeding them at the moment. And luxury has essentially taken United down the wrong route at this point. There's a lot of revisionist history going on at Manchester United at the moment, and it's like watching any other big club that's fallen through.
I think we've just got to be realistic, and I think at the moment, with Manchester United, I think the situation is Van Gaal is being given quite a lot of life, so to speak, and okay, it's Van Gaal, don't worry, he's going to sort it out because of what he's done over the last couple of decades. The reality is, if Moyes done what he has done so far since he's been here, he would be massively criticised. And he has not been good enough for Manchester United so far. I think that's fair to say.
I'd say it's also fair to say Manchester United haven't been good enough for him as well.
Yeah, but of course, when you put 11 world-class / international class players on a field, you have the amount of money and resources that Van Gaal does have. Unfortunately, the buck does fall on the manager.
Well, then that's the downside
are
of
they
working on the top
club. Well,
they've allowed him to spend over 200 million.
Are they world class?
But the truth is, I think undisputedly, at least 90% of Manchester United's strongest team is international / world class. I think it's very clear to see that. However, I think the problem is the buck does fall on the style of play with the manager. The buck does fall on the run of games and the way that the match is being played, such as against Swansea, falls on the manager.
Swansea are a quality side.
And they're a quality side, but it's a game that Manchester United shouldn't be losing and shouldn't have lost.
Well, clearly Van Gaal, he's not sure about his best 11, and they haven't clicked quite yet, but do leave your comments in below. But Chelsea have weaknesses. They're not the only big side that are struggling at the moment. Chelsea, Laurence, look a far cry from the side they did last season, although they did slightly drop off towards the end of last season, but they did more than enough to get over the line, of course. But what is going on there?
the third season under Mourinho is always a different one, isn't it?
No, you're right.
I mean,
Mourinho dig.
No, it's not even a dig. It's an evaluation of the way that his club go.
At Inter, he bowed out having won everything.
I'm not saying it in a cheap way, but I think who was I speaking with him? Graham Hunter said. He said to me, "Great point, Laurence." I said, "Thanks, Graham." He replied. He replied to me. I think Mourinho is a great juggler, and he juggles a lot of things. But the problem is, if you're juggling, if you begin to drop things, a lot of things will drop.
Yeah.
And you
like
can say
Ivanovic's performance.
Yeah, or John Terry, or Cesc Fabregas, or anyone in that midfield who looks sluggish right now. You can afford to catch a couple of things. The problem is, Mourinho's probably catching himself. What else is he catching? There was somewhat of a nerve hit when Rafa Benitez's wife said, "We've cleaned up his messes."
Yeah.
You could tell it hit a nerve. Because he was so aggressive in his response and so angry.
And it was rather sexist, really.
Yeah, but that's the least of his worries.
Yeah.
Was that, I mean, sexism is a big issue, but that's almost separate to the football of this. Like, the sexism was bad, but the football point was, you've left so many clubs messed up down the years, or emotionally scarred, or whatever it is, or reeling. And the same is happening at Chelsea right now. And you know, there are good things to paper over those cracks, and the way that things come together sometimes, it works for Chelsea because there's there must be such incredible relief when you finally win something.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't paper over the fact that Mourinho says, "I want to make a decade here." He's never made a decade.
I think the thing is with Mourinho, I think he's got to that stage of arrogance, which rightly so, based on what he has achieved. But he has got to that stage, especially with the Rafa Benitez situation, where he was like, "Hold on a minute, look what I've done for the last couple of clubs, trophy-wise." And I think it's kind of spreading through this arrogance, as unfortunately maybe spread through the team. You know, no one can doubt the starting 11 is, he's definitely strong enough to win the Premier League and go on and potentially win the Champions League. But I think the issue is, it's not really so much of an issue. I just feel Chelsea may have been found out. They are known as boring Chelsea. Even the fans. As lovely as they are, they've even got a song that's simply Chelsea, 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 Chelsea.
They do,
and literally just saying the word Chelsea.
Favourites.
I think filtering through to the team, I think you know what they're going to do. So if you can stop them and stop their quality players, you have a chance to win. And it
is a big ask, but I do take the point. If you're not a Chelsea fan, no doubt you're enjoying their weaknesses being strewn across the Premier League. Borussia Dortmund are back, everybody. They're scoring, they're winning. Laurence, they are winning.
They earned their... Well, where did they go last season? They went for a little while.
They went off for
a few. When Walkies finished 7th.
Yeah, they worked their way back up the table. Most people actually thought they could finish higher when they were at the bottom. But they didn't, no. Although you would still say it's a respectable finish and a nice way to bow out for Jurgen Klopp, even though he didn't manage to win anything in the final season. Tuchel has taken over and changed or freshened the system. It's not completely changed. From what I hear from Squawker Dave, he says they've changed their formation somewhat as well, and that's freshened things up. Counter-attacking wise, they are the most exciting, scintillating team, refreshing in Europe. And what I think is great there, and it's worth making the point again and again and again, that's not built on a huge amount of money. The other day, there was someone interviewed, a Man City legend, I can't remember his name now, forgive me. He said, Liverpool were naive not to offer Raheem Sterling 100 grand a week. They were naive to keep him on 25 grand a week. Money talks in the game. Man City got what they wanted because they had the money. What he forgets is that if you go to Germany, there's players like Vidal on 90k a week.
Bayern Munich.
Yeah. There's players at Dortmund who are on something between 10 and 30k a week. So
average is below.
But they love playing for the big clubs.
What's fantastic about that is, and I'll say this really frankly, fuck off with your money. Like, they're building something there that's so much more of an interesting project and will be so much more satisfying than your empty claims about what money buys and what money doesn't buy. And it's so much better. It nothing to do with football or anything like that. There's something there, and that's why there are loads of people taking it.
It's a kind of like a music industry equivalent of someone saying to a band who love playing the music they play, yeah, but if you write songs that will cater to this audience, you could sell more. And so, but well, that's not us. That's not what we do.
They want to be, I mean, my comments on Dortmund, I love what they do as a club, just like what you were mentioning. Are they back or not? Firstly, too early to say. What I would say about Tuchel when he came in is that he's done a fantastic job, but it's almost as if he's played Football Manager, on the way he's playing, and I'll explain. They're friendlies, and it should be the way, when you play Football Manager to get the morale up for the players. What do? You play against the worst teams possible available on as friendlies. They played a team called Team Gold, and they won 17-0. Ironically, it definitely was nothing gold about that team. But the point is, they played against terrible teams and absolutely
all that glitters is not gold.
Hammered 95% of the teams over the July period and raised the morale, which is so smart. While the other big teams were playing the Man Uniteds and the Bayern Munichs and PSGs and losing and lowering their morale. So they've started with fantastic morale and excitement, and I think that will push them through. So. Good job.
Do you worry
he's obviously waiting for the new edition of Football Manager.
Do you worry they're going to burn out with the? I mean, that counter-attacking is very. Although what they do is also they manage to keep the ball and rest on the ball, which is great as well.
I think about Aubameyang and obviously
Royce.
Not just Royce, but of course Adnan has now came in with a number 9 shirt as well. I think if they keep those guys fit, they will always score goals, and I think that will give them a great chance.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing Borussia Dortmund more this season.
Yeah.
Liverpool are not scoring this season. They had a very strange result at home against West Ham, was 3-0. Of course, apart from that, though, they have kept 3 clean sheets, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Akeem.
Yeah.
Why aren't Liverpool scoring? What do you make of all that?
They're missing Barini.
They're missing Barini. They're going to miss him because they've sold him.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think that's the reason.
On a serious note, I think ultimately they never really recovered from this situation with Sturridge away and the replacement and the pockets.
Sturridge injured.
Sturridge been away, simply been injured. And of course, Suarez being sold. Of course, Benteke's coming. He's a fantastic goal scorer. But the playmakers in the middle of the park just doesn't create enough chances for the attackers. And it means unless you're an attacker that would come deep and collect, which Benteke isn't, then it's going to be difficult to generate goals. I mean, Coutinho is doing a fantastic job. He's literally playing out his skin, but Coutinho won't be able to steady it.
Not literally, but
literally, he's running out of his skin. But no, not literally, but he is doing a fantastic job. But he will not be able to carry the fort alone. And I think they do need a playmaker. No one's coming in anyway, but their problems. Nathaniel Klein, maybe that they can go a bit wider. Maybe they're playing a little bit too narrow. There's a few reasons why I think that they can improve. What do you think,
Laurence?
I think they are playing narrow at times. Firmino was brought in as a playmaker somewhat, also brought in as someone to finish some moves. Against Arsenal, they had some really nice moves, and that was bizarre, I think, to see Liverpool go from playing so well against Arsenal to playing so poorly against West Ham. Very flat against West Ham. Actually conceded very poor goals. They're 3 very poor goals for Liverpool, where they should have got the ball away and should have just done basic things. People are really having a go at Lovren, and I'm not sure that's fair. I just think it's weird to have one poor game and then everyone jump on someone's back. Considering it had 3
the point we're making
games
is
before.
that they're not scoring, and that's not Lovren's fault.
So exactly that would be my point there. The point up front is they looked dangerous against Arsenal, came up against a pretty decent back line of Czech. Apart from that, they didn't have a great centre back. They still need to be more attacking, and they need to be. I guess that's the problem. When you contrast them with a few seasons ago, they looked fantastic.
Yeah.
And what some people are beginning to do now, I think, is an interesting question to ask, and maybe most fans should do it. Manchester United fans, Chelsea fans should also do it. With a manager free, such as Klopp, would you rather take him than your own manager right now? And for Liverpool, there is the question of stick or twist. Because people say, he'll be gone by January. I don't really care about that. What I'm saying is, could they be playing more exciting football with another manager right now? The answer is probably yes. But could Brendan Rodgers get that same exciting football? If he gets it right, yes. The problem is, he hasn't quite gotten it right yet. And he needs Benteke to do better. He needs Coutinho will be out for a couple of games. Now, disappointingly, though for him, it's good because he gets to go away with Brazil, which is great for him. So I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
I think it'll come good, but it's a weird loss. We do also forget Arsenal lost 2-0 at home against West Ham as well. So it's not as
formidable on the road.
Yeah, it's not as terrible.
But it was the point. But the point is talking about Liverpool not scoring.
Yeah.
But we hope for Liverpool's sake. Sorry, Akeem, we need to wrap this up. I'm afraid.
Overall team balance.
Hopefully for their sake that they do start scoring very soon. British teams should be doing better in Europe. Of course, recently we saw Celtic go out to Malmo, Southampton go out to a Finnish side, and West Ham obviously went out. They did.
Bless you.
And West Ham went out in the Europa League earlier on this season, gentlemen. They should be doing a little bit better. And
good sides to go out against, though. Champions, and then another team that's really building on something that seems to be somewhat zeitgeist right now. So
Southampton should be beating them, but also in the wider context, the top English sides have not done as well as they would have liked in the Champions League in the last
I think looking at the UEFA Cup, maybe it's something
Europa League.
Europa League.
Beyond
of course,
brand.
it has changed. Beyond brand. I think it's maybe something to do with maybe they don't like the Scandinavian area. Struggling against Norwegian teams, Swedish teams.
Well, they do have a home leg, though.
Yeah, home leg. Yeah, of course they do. I think ultimately Celtic. It's inexcusable to not be in the Champions League. There's absolutely no excuse. They should have won the game. They simply just did not show up on the second leg. And I think the same must be said for West Ham, and the same must be said for Southampton. I think the only excuse could be they didn't take it serious enough. They were thinking about the Premier League, or Celtic was thinking about beating the Builders, whoever they're playing, the Builders or the Plumbers the following week.
I think they're called Hearts.
Yeah, don't know who they're called. But ultimately,
it's a little dig, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little dig, But ultimately, Celtic should be working and building towards that huge game, that qualifying game, once they win the Champions League, the championships.
I think they probably will, but they've come out short, though. That's the thing.
They've come out short, but they just didn't show up.
I think they did show up. I think.
But what about other British teams in the Europa League? I mean, Southampton, that's a very strange one. They're much better. They've not started the season well. But what is the overall point here that in the Champions League, as I say, last season and some of the top sides, PSG, they beat Chelsea, and then Barcelona batter PSG. It's probably just as well for Chelsea that they went out in that previous round, perhaps.
Yeah, although it would have been interesting to see.
Well, Mourinho
come up against him. But then the coefficient for Britain is dropping. Liverpool were in pot 2 for the draw for the Europa League, and that's not going to help them. I do think there is somewhat of luxury in sitting on your laurels, somewhat with these sides. They've not pushed themselves far enough, or tried to push themselves far enough, and there have been not excuses made, but a lot of people who have done pretty poorly in the Champions League. And there's sides like Manchester United in there right now, who now will be much stronger with Van Gaal, but for seasons have really just not really achieved.
But if you look at the other sides in Europe, I mean, really, who is better than Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, and to a lesser extent Manchester United, perhaps not this season. Real Madrid, Barcelona. You could maybe argue PSG and Juventus. So therefore, if there's less quality spread around, why are they not getting to the latter stages?
Again, this comes into a preparation situation. You could look at the likes of CSK Moscow, and they would prepare weeks before for that huge Champions League game on the.
But I'm sure English teams.
Whereas English teams, they're more focused towards. At the moment, it seems, focused towards the league game and using, and that is a priority. Basing that on the pure fact of the decisions that are made, on build up to the Champions League game, the importance that a lot of the players.
Celtic went out because mentally the other team got into the head because they scored late. That's the reason Celtic went out. That's not due to poor preparation.
And you can't say. I mean, Celtic have plenty of time to prepare because the opposition.
I mean, we can talk about preparation, but again,
if we're talking, let's talk about Premier League.
If we watch the game,
the Celtic one is a bit of an anomaly, but Premier League sides. You're suggesting perhaps that there's a lot of quality in the Premier League,
100%,
and so therefore they can't prepare as much as the other side.
I wouldn't say they can't.
They can't rest players.
I think yes, exactly. And I think that is one of the points. They can't rest players, perhaps because the Premier League is very much stronger. So every game is a cup final to some teams. Every game they must.
Laurence, you don't seem convinced. Why do you think this is happening?
I think it's partly the Premier League's chickens coming home to roost. If you build a league where you'll put money into teams and you want your league to be more diverse and stronger, you want your own home product to be stronger, then that will come home to roost in the end. But the point is there's more TV money coming in. We're seeing that this season with the likes of Swansea, not necessarily Southampton, other sides are Stoke.
So do you think it's a money thing?
Well, I think the money is certainly influencing making other teams stronger in the league. And I think in the long run, it will probably serve British teams quite well because there will be a greater dearth of talent within the league, and it will probably up the quality within the league. It's going to make it harder for a short amount of time, I think, to compete within the Champions League. But I think over time we'll see those sort of things level out.
Well, that's your lot for this week, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Do get your comments in below. Thank you, Akeem from Cheeky Sports. A pleasure.
Thank you for having
out
me.
Favourite sport.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Absolutely.
My favourite sport.
Do
high five.
I like what you did there. Do check out Cheeky Sport. Go there, and Laurence McKenna.
Go over to Cheeky Sport where you won't see me.
Go to Cheeky Sport. Yeah, you
it's
might
really
see
good.
him one day.
Never know your luck. Thank you very much.